Nintendo Gen 64 is here, and welcome to part 4 of the history of I'm A Speedrunner. In today's part, we're going to be talking about I'm A Speedrunner 9, I'm A Speedrunner 10, and the I'm A Speedrunner Invitational Tournament, and covering the years 2014 to 2015 in I'm A Speedrunner. And so to assist me with delving into these topics, I have some guest commentators. And they are, here we go, we've got Crystal Fisher, there we are, Crystal Fisher, Al Malloy, Connor David, and returning to ISGP, it is Lyle Bandicoot 93. Welcome back, Lyle.
Hey guys, yep.
And I have to say...
Intro. Hey guys.
I'll go, look at that.
It's me, it's Lyle Bandicoot 93.
What up,
haven't done that a long
soldiers here, sorry.
Just got out of prison. Life has been tough. Done a bit of cocaine and heroin, and as you can see, the outcome hasn't been great.
Oh, no.
Demonetized.
I'm so excited to have Lyle here because in this part today we have a lot of Lyle-centric things to talk about. Because somehow, I don't know how, but you factor into a lot of this situation. A lot of the post I'm A Speedrunner 8, the IAS9, the illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning, the I'm A Speedrunner 10 kind of thing, the World Cup speedruns, all this. This is a great time to have Lyle here, so thank you very much for coming back. We have Connor David, who's just returned from a whirlwind trip over to the UK. I believe you met up with Dan Davidson. Is that true, Connor?
Yeah, yes, you have heard correctly. I have met the one and only Daniel Davidson. You know, bit of a mini goon meet before the goon meet in Bristol in a few months' time. So yeah, it was good crack. We had good fun. Went to a nice Irish bar actually. Waxy O'Connor's as we plug in right now.
And we have Al Malloy wearing a lovely sweater, looking like a Japanese grandpa, as we say.
Yes, this is bought in Japan. Big up to Book Off, and hello. And I'll see Daniel Davidson next week because he's coming to Ireland.
Oh, very good. And Crystal Fisher is here in the same room he was in 10 years ago.
And the same room I was in last Sunday, and the Sunday before that, and the Sunday before that.
That's great.
So,
I just thought I'd quickly whip around to everyone and say hello. So, let's talk about this. Let's get into the situation, the topics at hand. So, we left the last part off talking about I'm A Speedrunner 8, and we talked about the drama that unfolded, the situation with between Ratchet 5, myself, and Crystal Fisher, the sort of split in the community, and let's talk about the follow-up to that. So, real quick, I guess Crystal Fisher, the first thing I want to talk about is our response to the drama with Ratchet 5. We determined that he was essentially banned from I'm A Speedrunner 9. We made a whole video saying what the future of IAS was going to be, and we banned him from it. Now, I just want you to quickly reflect, and we'll get the others' opinions. What do you think about banning the guy who hosted the first 7 tournaments from his 9th tournament? Like, what do you think about that? Like, in 8 years removed, do you think we were right to ban him? Do you think we shouldn't have banned him? What do you think about that?
Honestly, my thoughts have evolved over the past few years, but ultimately haven't changed in terms of whether I think it's the right move to ban someone that created something. Much like if that person was to come out and do something terrible or something like that, and they run a company or they run some kind of entity, no one is above criticism. No one is above standards. And at the end of the day, the way that we did it, we did not go about it completely perfectly, as we're about to see in sort of the post-IAS 8 world. We were not perfect by any means. But when you look at the ensuing drama, when you look at what actually happened, nothing that we did was overly inconsistent. The argument was at the time that no one had actually been really banned, quote unquote, right? There was no real hard ban. And the argument with that comes from the fact that they said, well, if someone asked me to come back, they wouldn't be. Well, if someone finds out that they're banned or they haven't came back, then technically they never have to ask. They are simply banned. So that using that kind of hypothetical, to me, doesn't add up. So I guess my point is that no, I do not believe we were false or wrong to ban him. Do you think we were, Angus?
Well, look, here's the thing. I think, as Al Malloy, we discussed this off camera as well, and I think Al put it very well that if instead of banning him from I'm A Speedrunner 9, and instead of us hosting an I'm A Speedrunner 9, if we just created a brand new concept, a brand new tournament name, perhaps a World Cup of Speedruns or something like that. If we had just created a brand new IP in 2013 and moved on from I'm A Speedrunner, I think that would have landed a lot better with the community at the time.
Yes.
I think the big perception was that Ratchet 5 had not hosted I'm A Speedrunner 8. He'd kind of lent us the keys to the car for that tournament, but once it was done, he would have the keys back, and then he would be like the permanent host of the future tournaments going on from that. And he brings up in several videos that he released on the as you can see on this channel, the Spyro Speedruns channel. Around this time, he was releasing videos like crazy. Like, you know, there's a video here where he explains his disappearance, what's going on. There's a video
Injustice.
where he there's this video where he relinquishes the what did he say? Ratchet 5 relinquishes the IAS9, which pleases voters, which was a video where he said that we could host I'm A Speedrunner 9. Now, of course, this whole thing was just a ploy. He did let us host I'm A Speedrunner 9, only for he himself to announce another tournament that, you know, is not an I'm A Speedrunner tournament, so we're not going to go too in-depth about it, but I'd like to talk about, I guess, at this point, and I'll bring Lyle into this, because he was, you know, a very key player in this part. The situation of I'm A Speedrunner 9, Ratchet 5's own illegitimate of acquisition of speedrunning, no, and then Lyle's World Cup speedruns. So this all sort of happened in the space of a very short amount of time, right after I'm A Speedrunner 8, and Lyle, we were, you know, you, me, and Ratchet, Crystal Fisher were very close at this time. Let's talk about your involvement in this. What was your sort of like mindset at the time, especially surrounding your intentions of hosting another World Cup speedruns tournament, and sort of talk us through your thought process on that, if you will, please.
Yes, so basically, as Andrew said there, you know, like, yeah, when you're a host, you have to lead, for example, so like him being banned, you know, it made sense, you know, like, you don't expect a host to pick up and decide to quit on his own tournament, even though he wasn't hosting. That was given to you guys. I never comment. I don't think I comment on the video, but I stood by him being banned, because even if I was hosting, I wouldn't expect myself or the creator of my own tournament to decide to leave. You know, even if you're not hosting, I just think that rules, no one's above the rules, and if you imply your own rules, expect to follow your own rules as well. And, you know, he was only going to be banned for one tournament, if there was going to be future ISs, which there was, because we had IAS10. So, like, obviously, you know, him making his own sort of tournament during that, it was a bit of a kind of like a I'm above the rules slap in the face. I think I took part in both of them. I actually don't even remember my involvement that well, because it was just a blur. There was just so many tournaments.
I think you were definitely
there was so many tournaments going on.
You were definitely in his tournament.
I was in both.
You were in both, yes, and I think
I was.
It's funny though. At this point, I'll just quickly put a sidebar here to set a hook for something we'll talk about a bit later. But at that time, Ratchet 5, before World Cup speedruns took off and became the smash success we know it as today, before that happened, Ratchet 5 had no problem with you being in both World Cup speedruns and his own I'm A Speedrunner like IAS9 tournament, did he? He had no problem with that. So, but
no, they never had any problem, because like I joined. I thought I was just going to join both of them, and then for obviously you mentioned World Cup speedruns. We obviously tried it back in 2012, I think it was, and it didn't do well. We weren't getting the publicity, weren't getting people joining. So whenever this, sadly enough, what was him leaving or him getting banned from IAS8 actually worked in my favor for doing World Cup speedruns, because I ended up getting a platform on Spyro Speedruns to advertise another sort of, well, it was me, David, and Platform King originally. We'd given us a platform to basically promote World Cup speedruns and actually get people into it, because we were getting to that stage now, and you can tell people were getting drained of IS. See, whenever you go through so many tournaments and it's following the same format day in and day out, and if you're not mixing things up, things become repetitive and people become bored, and then that's when it becomes a stage where people don't want to do anything. They just say, oh, it's just another tournament, you know. It's another Crash tournament, it's another Spyro tournament, you know. They'll still take part, but they just can't be bothered to do half the stuff, because it's just the same outcome for some people.
I'm
Like,
so glad you
you
brought
know-
that up, Lyle, too. Like that I think is incredibly important, because at this point I just kind of like to like let's set, this is the timeline, the official timeline of events that happened after I'm a Speedrunner 8. So we'll kind of launch into this. So after I'm a Speedrunner 8 had happened, Crystal Fissure, myself, and you, Lyle, had been decided that the three of us would host I'm a Speedrunner 9. Now, at this point, I think, Al, you had kind of just, like, checked out at that point. I think you were kind of, you were a figurehead of I'm a Speedrunner 8, a figurehead in the hosting capacity, but you didn't want much to do with I'm a Speedrunner 9. So, and, you know, the drama that ensued. So I think you just kind of checked out at that point. And left it to us. So originally it was going to be myself, Lyle, and Crystal Fissure hosting I'm a Speedrunner 9, and we uploaded a video to the IAS 8 channel where we wanted people to vote on I'm a Speedrunner 9. Now, I won't play it, but essentially in this video, now I don't stand by exactly everything I said in this video, but in this video I do point out that I think that I said at the time, I'm a Speedrunner 7 was the biggest shambles of a tournament ever, because it was Disney and it was a free-for-all. And so I said, let's do it, let's go back to, like, you know, let's do another franchise, let's do another series. But I didn't want to do Crash or Spyro, because as you said, Lyle, I think people were, you know, we'd done 3 Spyro tournaments, we'd done 2 Crash tournaments. I enjoyed the Gex tournament and I wanted to keep that trend going. So we came up with these as the options for oh no, there's 5 options. There we go. Those were the options. It was Argonaut, Rayman, Pac-Man, Magenta, and Ape Escape. And we wanted people to vote on it. And now, I have to say, this was our first massive, massive misstep. Because, Lyle, you fucked us. You and your obsession with wanting to do Pac-Man, you rigged the vote so that Pac-Man would win, even though Ape Escape was ahead, and then Crystal Fissure rigged it so that Ape Escape would win, and there was all this backbiting, infighting, and we couldn't even decide on what the fucking tournament was going to be, and then you quit, and then you did World Cup Speedruns.
Hey, let me just say that Matt Barrow cast a very legitimate vote. Okay, Matt Barrow and Luke
before I let Lyle respond to this,
Escape fans.
I just want you to read the comments, Lyle, on this, because I've done my research and then I forgot, and now I'm pissed because look at this, look at these comments here. Where are they? Hold on. Like, there's a comment from Balls Australia. I want to find Dessert Monkey. All of a sudden, it's Pac-Man. Hold on, where is he? Yeah, all of a sudden it's Pac-Man. Sure, okay, whatever. Not that I'm taking part in this tournament at this moment. Still eyeballing the 2 tournaments of interest. And then, like, it's just a shit show, because I was like, I was talking here about how there was a poll on the wiki that we set up, and Lyle, I guess you got a bunch of people to spam vote for Pac-Man on that poll, and then I was like, that poll was unofficial. I'm not counting it. You can't do it. Crystal Fissure's like, Marcus, what was your obsession with Pac-Man? Why did you want a Pac-Man tournament? Why did you derail the voting to force a Pac-Man tournament? Please tell me about this.
Well, it's something different. I didn't want bloody fucking Argonaut. I didn't want that.
Yeah, but Ape
I didn't
Escape
want-
or
I
anything
wanted
like that,
Ape Escape? No. I think because I was using an emulator, I could take part because you need analogs.
I see.
And I was using at the time, I think I was using my PS3 controller. So if it was an Ape Escape tournament, I actually couldn't take part in an own tournament that I was hosting. So I didn't have anything with analogs.
So that was the first big problem, though, because I remember Ratchet 5 had cast, like, he was definitely, like, he casts a shroud over our tournament, because he basically said, these fucking hosts can't even figure out what the hell the tournament is going to be. And then so he countered back with that by, and look at this. I mean, as if like, you know, we had a hard time rallying community support around this period of time as it was. But look at this. This is what his tournament was going to be. Spyro 1 and Crash 3. You can't compete with that. That's like such a pandering to the mainstream, pandering to the majority. You can't compete with that.
As I say, it just... Oh, go ahead, Al.
Yeah, sorry. It was going to be... Wasn't it going to be 1999, but those 2 would be the required games?
I think it was going to be
Wasn't it?
1998.
It was going to be 1999, and I had a talk with Ratchet, and I convinced him to do 98 instead.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
that's correct.
1998. Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was that, but those 2 were the required games.
Yes,
sorry.
Because I was going to say, if you guys want to know where you look at the PAC IAS wiki article, It actually, the original vote was on Spyro Speedruns, right? There it is. The original one was on Spyro Speedruns, and that's what a bunch of votes are. And you'll see Ape Escape was actually, Lopser says on this video that Ape Escape was legitimately on 92, Traveler's Tales was on 61, Argonaut was on 60, and 99 was on 55. And so there was all this other arguments between me and Christian on there as usual, because that was seemingly all we were doing in 2013, was arguing about this fucking tournament. And
however, remember that this vote here, I would just like to point out before you get confused, this was when Ratchet 5 was originally planning on hosting, and there he is in the infamous giraffe onesie. So he was still planning, and I was about to bring this up, and back to the timeline quickly. So Ratchet 5 had basically said, I'm hosting I'm A Speedrunner 9, I don't care, whatever, I'm going to host it. And then we argued back, we're like, you're banned, you can't host it, blah, 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 blah. Then he rescinded his hosting of it, and then he announced his own, non-I'm A Speedrunner whatever tournament at the same time. So he had, he was like, I'm going to host illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning, no. So this... And it's pinning all this stuff down is really hard, but I guess the clear thing is it was a shit show of a situation at the time. I think Crystal Fissure and myself really failed to capitalize on any momentum we had following I'm A Speedrunner 8.
Was not much.
And then Ratchet 5 was planning to host his own tournament, and then Lyle went ahead and was like, I'm going to host my own tournament. And at that point, it was like, what was the point of us hosting I'm A Speedrunner 9 in 2013? Like, if it was over. It was over, wasn't it, Crystal Fissure?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Interestingly enough, though, as well, this wiki article also points out that it says Nintendo 64, Crystal Fissure, and AFAce were to host the 9th installment, with Lyle Bandicoot acting in sort of a figurehead role. So, again, that actually ties Al back to it again, who, in his own words, was very much starting to become checked out. And if you look at Al private DMs at the time, I was starting to see that. Al and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It was slowly starting to... He initially started by asking me about IAS9 way back during 8, right? So he was sort of already there. And then, as we're about to chronicle very shortly, it just trickled out, and it was like it was nothing.
Yeah,
it was very interesting. But it's interesting to see that he was initially considered once again as a host.
And look
very
at this. We had a few people
to
sign
see
up for
that
this
written
tournament
out there.
too. We had actually that's a sizable thing. Like, my brother was going to be in it. Crash Bandy, Spyro 12, King Europe 1, of course, because he's in everything. Eddie, Placey Hull, Australian Gamer, Subpixel, and loyal Yoga Monyo, as always by our
Wait,
side.
this is IAS number 9, and I'm listed as...
No, this is Pack IAS.
This is Pack IAS. Yeah.
Why am I
This is the original
I didn't
9.
sign up for that. Did I sign up?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
What?
Whoa! Like September, right?
So this was 2013, Al. It's hard to remember, but like we were talking about this in part 2, I think, where there was like a lot of activity after, like in 2011, from like April to June 2011. In 2013, from the end of I'm A Speedrunner 8, which was in August, to like September, when when illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning 9 started, there was a lot of activity too. Because remember, we were going to host this tournament. Ratchet was hosting his tournament. Lyle had decided to host World Cup Speedruns. And at that point, at the very point where it was just saturation overload, in terms of popularity, it went Ratchet's tournament, Lyle's tournament, and then in a distant third, it was Crystal Fissure and Nintendo Gen 64's IAS9. At that point, Crystal Fissure and I decided, fuck it, and we chose to go and join Lyle's tournament. We went on Team Lyle because he was like supporting us. He was out on our side, and just check this out. This is lovely. The comment section on Lyle's video for the sign up for the big World Cup Speedruns tournament, and I just
They
like,
reboot.
It's interesting. Like, have a look at this. This is the comment section. Here, so there's Lyle in all blurry.
Oh, God.
But yeah, so like, see,
How many dislikes that have?
It has 8 dislikes ratioed. Look at that.
What the fuck? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're like, before IAS9, we're having another speedrun tournament, one without a theme, the return of World Cup speedruns. And the whole thing about this tournament was, Lyle basically was like, you don't need to play, it's not going to be based on a series or a franchise, anything goes. And basically you had to pick a country that you're going to be entering as a... Of course, Fraser picks Nazi Germany.
Oh, jeez.
Of course he does, because he was an edgy kid. And I was like, I'll be the Palestinian territories.
Wait, hang on. Just scroll up a bit. Why is James Jones, aka Oripes, why was he so vociferously claiming Lithuania? What's that about?
He really wanted to be Lithuania.
Yeah, said no one ever.
Christian was North Korea. They're North Korea. Ratchet 5 was... And this is the thing. Ratchet 5 was just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll sign up to these tournaments. That, you know...
No, he didn't. Never did after this. That was it.
That's right. So,
we'll talk about that
I guess we'll...
no, he never joined.
When in a non I'm a Speedrunner show thing, we'll talk about Lyle's World Cup speedruns more. We'll do a real deep dive into that. But let's just quickly talk about illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning. No, let's quickly talk about that, because I want to just bring up at this point that Ratchet was plowing ahead. He was, as they say, tweeting through it. You know, he was not... he made a lot of videos about Crystal Fissure and myself, essentially saying that the reason he disliked us was because of personal reasons, not because of the tournaments. And then he would go on to explain all of his problems in the tournaments, you know. So I don't know. He was very unclear, and he was going through. You know, I'm not gonna delve too much onto this, but he was also going through a lot of problems in his personal life at this time. He was very much a transient in between homes and things like that. He wasn't in a stable situation. So, you know, I don't want to defend him too much, but it wasn't a great time to be Ratchet 5. And he made it very clear that when he was hosting his tournament, his illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning tournament, that he would set out the rules from the outset. He would be very much this is about the rules, I'm gonna focus on the rules. And let me just show you guys something real quick. I want to show you a video, and I'm not gonna, I'm gonna mute it, but I'm gonna show you the video. And I want you to see if you can explain to me what's going on in illegitimate acquisition of speedrunning. No, because this fucking tournament, look at this. This is a real video, by the way, explaining how the groups will work.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this an NFL? Is this an NFL team sheet?
Look at this. 6x2 Shagger Wagon of 6, +1 goes through, 12 winners, 12 losers, round 2. What the fuck? Seriously, this and that's why we mock this tournament to this day for all these videos. And I'll just real quick, show you my favorite
Lyle the
video.
6th competitor of Group 8 was called.
This is my favorite video on this channel. Let me just quickly show you this one. This is my problem with IAS9. You ready?
Yep.
It's like a propaganda video. There's some subliminal messages in that video, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is incredible.
That's a lot of editing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wearing a Spyro Jam t-shirt. One up there it is.
Yeah.
Wait, is this on loop?
Yeah.
That bit is.
Oh, it's on loop. Okay, yeah. Okay, I was waiting to say this. I think I've seen this.
But basically, the thing I was going to point out is that he was he took the dictatorship moniker to heart for that tournament. And I'd just like to show you some DMs between Al Malloy and Crystal Fissure about this tournament, because I think these DMs are hilarious.
Yes.
And I hope Al doesn't mind me sharing his private DMs.
No, please do. No.
These are hilarious.
There's one I hope you are going to show.
By the way, I do enjoy that this part we haven't even gotten to. I'm a Speedrunner 9
yet.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love this whole shit. But
yeah.
Anyway, fuck. It's all zoomed out. I'll place them over the video properly. But anyway, it's basically you're fucking worst tournament ever. This is why Ratchet shouldn't host anything. He lets these nobodies who inevitably do fuck all and lets people in who should be banned. Shit, what's happening currently? This is Crystal Fissure, such as Jeff. Yeah. Hey, that's my brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's true. It's true.
Yeah,
He
look at
didn't
this shit.
fucking
It's
do
fucking
anything.
ridiculous. So you disbanding an entire fucking group, you say? It's all his
Yeah.
fault. And then you go on to
The
say,
British medias are also whining. Fuck's
also,
sake.
what's going on with
God.
your IAS match? Have you done your race yet? Oh, good. And then this was also like around the time that you really checked out, Al. You really checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you hated the
quit.
shag and wag.
Yeah.
Oh, you said you liked the shag and wagons personally. I don't know why you like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shag and wagons. And then
Yeah, well, they're good
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
and
They
I'll just
They are what
go
they are.
on a wiki and just show you the layout of this tournament, because I honestly think, you know, the key takeaways from illegitimate acquisition of Speedrunning 9, as I keep calling it, is that in 2013, Ratchet 5 had the community in the palm of his hand. He had the goodwill of everyone, right? And then he just completely squandered it. And look at this tournament. Look at this fucking tournament. So my favorite thing about this tournament is that the medieval group was completely disbanded because only one of their races was done. It was completely
Look.
disbanded.
Probably Luke.
Look at that. Move to Group D.
Was it Luke?
Group D. Move to Group H. Yeah, it was Luke. Yeah, and then Luke
Of
was
course it
ultimately
was.
replaced too. So anyway, we could do. I think we'll do like a separate entry on
One day.
I'm a Speedrunner on illegitimate acquisition of Speedrunning 9. But I just
Yeah,
like to
but
get.
you know what? That'll require. I was going to say before we go to Connor for sure. As you say, because what we'll do is we'll in order to properly cover 9, we need to actually watch every single second of it, so we can truly go like every single second of the update video and format, so we can actually truly analyze it for the shit show that it was. Right? Because for now we're kind of being general. Now, Connor, yes, I was just going to say this is the perfect opportunity. So just briefly, kind of wrapping up this era. What was your, I guess, mentality going from, from 8 to 9, the pack tournament? What was your mentality during this time?
I was just wanting to join tournaments and also not pick sides. Like, try to be as balanced as possible. Because, look, I'll say this now, I enjoyed talking to Ratchet at the time. I enjoyed talking to you guys at the time. So I just wanted to keep a good balance between everything. Join tournaments, have fun. I didn't really think too much at the time about the hosting and like what the tournaments was, and just on that week wrap, by the way, that was actually designed to show how the rounds would work. So everyone got back in after a match. We'll get onto that another time. But I was basically trying to keep it just a balance between everything, really. Just I almost wanted to join tournaments, talk to people, and just have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's what everyone wanted. Everyone wanted.
Ultimately.
It was my sentiment too.
At that point, egos really got into play, and that was the first time like hosting had really become like the topic of the day. It was just one of those things where it was just like, oh, hold on, Al has another screenshot for me. I like that he messages me the screenshots instead of telling me about them, so I can actually put them in the video.
What was I gonna do? I wasn't gonna cut across anyone, but if you want my sentiments summed up, it's that screenshot I think does it well, where you can show maybe the update video and just the one statement here: people aren't going to do anything when the tournament host makes update videos looking like he's just stepped out of a washing machine. So I think that just sums up.
Which update was that? I reckon it was probably.
One sec,
There's a lot of update videos. This tournament has a lot of update videos.
This is the famous one. The famous one was the dismantling of an entire group, which drove Al insane.
I got very mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the group C is dismantled. Run!
Wait, hold on. Let me play that. Let's just watch like the first 5 seconds of this video.
Yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to another IAS update. Today, Group C has been dismantled. Yeah. So what's been happening is that Group C has been very...
Now, I just like to point out that never at any time in I'm a Speedrunner 8 did we have to dismantle a group, for the record. I would just like to point that out.
Yeah.
And this is your famous I'll put it properly on, but down the bottom here, you're like, people aren't going to do anything when the tournament host makes update videos looking like he's stepped out of a washing machine. Yeah, and that's really all there is to say about IAS9, like 9.
Yeah.
It was a fabrication of a tournament. It didn't exist in the canon. We don't count it. It's not canonized. And we talked about it generally, but it's not an I'm a Speedrunner tournament, so it doesn't really deserve much more time dedicated to it other than we've already have. And I will say my quote about IAS9 is, this is my quote. I say, "It's true that everyone thinks that this has tarnished the legacy of IAS and this is the worst tournament of all time." And if you were to do a proper, if I was going to do the rankings and I was going to include this in the rankings, it would absolutely be down there as one of the worst. I think there was a worse tournament after it, but at the time this was definitely the worst. And it's hilarious because the grand final was recorded on in March 2013. The final parts of it were uploaded in March 2014. It wasn't uploaded until June 12th, 2014. It took 3 months for Ratchet 5 to upload the grand final. I guess because people didn't care, or it was such a oh, the fuck this tournament. And I think that was the general vibe at the time, was that the tournament was kind of just whatever. And then 2014 happened, and I think the community at that point was getting quite restless. I think Lyle was doing a great job with his World Cup Speedruns tournaments. I think, how many of those happened in 2014, Lyle?
2014 would have been the first one, and then the second one, I'm double check. I think the second one happened in 2015. 2014 that would have been, and then 2015 would have been World Cup Speedruns 2. Double check that one.
I was just going to say, one of them was definitely in 2014 because it coincided with the World Cup that took place the same year.
Yeah, and I would definitely say from memory, and I mean, you can verify this if you want to, but I'm pretty sure that and Al's gone. That World Cup Speedruns 1 took place almost around the exact same time as the official canonized I'm a Speedrunner 9, if I'm not mistaken, which I'm pretty sure it did.
We tried it back in 2012, and then we restarted it in 2013. So it took place just before, I think it was around IS9, because it said that IS9 was taking part in 2013-14. So yeah, we took place exactly the same time. Near enough.
Right. So then
in time frame we were in.
So then, I'm a Speedrunner 9. Let's talk about this one. Let's talk about I'm a Speedrunner 9. So, I think this is the one that put the death stamp on I'm a Speedrunner. So I'll quickly talk about this from my perspective. So, actually, why don't I just quickly show you the I'll show you the announcement video for it, because I always liked this video quite a lot.
I was going to say something very offensive.
So, Crystal Fisher, much to your dismay, I used the NXT theme song from 2014 for the IAS9 sign-up. Then, to really make things controversial, I made a follow-up video only a couple days later. These are all on my own personal channel, by the way, where I outlined what my vision for I'm a Speedrunner 9 was going to be. And now this was essentially quite a controversial thing at the time, because check this graphic out that I made. Whoa, what the heck is this? It was meant to be a single elimination tournament, and it was going to be an Argonaut tournament, so the company that made Croc. And look at that, it was going to be single elimination. It was going to be essentially 4 blocks, where the final people would end up racing at the very end there, and those sort of gold ones. And I thought it was a neat idea. And I had planned for it to start, look at this, it was to be a single elimination tournament starting August 24th. Sign-ups now, draw video will be uploaded, and draw video will be live streamed on my channel. Yeah. So as you can see, I was really taking no bullshit at this time. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna host the tournament. I'm gonna do IAS9. I'm gonna do it right. And at that point, Ratchet 5, who had been essentially gone from like the community for quite a while. I mean, none of us really talked much to him at that point. He countered back with this video here, which is very zoomed up in his face, which he uploaded the same day as I uploaded that single elimination tournament. Basically being like, fuck you, Angus, I'm taking over. It's going to be the same old shit as we've had before. Single elimination doesn't work. It's bullshit. And we're going to go back to the same old shit. And I was actually livid at this. I was not happy with this because essentially he'd come in and done the exact same thing as he had done in 2013. The only difference was this time I was a lot more apathetic and a lot more trolly and a lot more like whatever. I had a full-time job at this time, so I really didn't have the time or the energy to dedicate into arguing with him. So I just let him take the reins again, and even though I'm credited as being a co-host of I'm A Speedrunner 9, realistically it was all on him. And this tournament has to be the biggest shit stain of a tournament I've ever seen. And unfortunately I'm the host of it, and unfortunately I made such classic videos as this one.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Where this is the draw video that has my father in it for the first 2 frames. Look at him. He didn't know what he was in.
He looks like he coerced him into it.
He had no clue. And anyway, then
Really?
I did I'm a Speedrunner 9. So it was meant to be. It was a classic tournament, same as it ever was. I'm A Speedrunner 9 had check this out. This is the wiki page for it. It had 6 groups, so already a lot smaller than the other tournaments. This is the smallest tournament we'd had since the first one. It only had 6 groups of 4, so 24 people in it. Those are the the usual suspects are there. I think there you are, Lyle. You were there. You were in the same group as Christian. Al Malloy, by the way, noticeable by his absence. What was going on, Al? Why did you not, after all those months of friendship and fuck Ratchet 5, and finally I had the tournament under my name again? Why didn't you sign up to I'm A Speedrunner 9? What was going on with you?
I wasn't. I just wasn't arsed with the community anymore. 2014 was not a good. 2013 and 2014, if I recall correctly, in my blurry memory, weren't good years for me. So yeah, and I think also I was fully focused on World Cup speedruns too. I thought World Cup speedruns was the shit. Yeah.
Get in.
I was like, yeah, no, fuck this IAS shit. Like, I really enjoyed World Cup speedruns, so I think that was it too. So just not a good time in general, and I'd say World Cup speedruns being my main focus. If I get the timelines right, that is. So
no, it would be too.
Yeah,
bloody got that right.
And I believe, and this is me like hand on heart, at this time World Cup speedruns was more significant than IAS at this time.
Yep.
And I remember World Cup Speedruns 2, I signed up as Gag 73. I had a lot of fun in that one. And I couldn't be asked. I could not be asked with IAS 9. And that's the fact of it, and that's why it sucked.
No one knows you're cool. You got a bite Gag with some turkey.
Yeah, well, no, if you watch the previous part, the cat is out of the bag. I was Gag 73. But yeah, like, this tournament really sucked. I'm A Speedrunner 9. And I think like the first round actually wasn't too bad. The first round was fine, It was much later in after the first round that things sort of started to take a turn for the worst. And I think if we just have a quick watch, I think it's this video here. Let's just quickly listen to it. I'll turn the volume up so you can hear it too, Lyle. But I believe this is it here. Here we go.
Yeah, I can turn it up.
Hello everyone and welcome to the I'm A Speedrunner talk show for I'm A Speedrunner 9. It's Crystal Fisher, Nintendo Gen 64, and Mr. Fraser Films 2009. Just here to announce that in exactly 1 week's time from tonight, the IAS9 Grand Final will take place with the 3 of us in it, unless you guys do your matches. And that is a promise I am making to you right now.
Shit.
No, that is
you
a
don't want
promise.
me in this shit.
I am making this promise to you right now, that the Grand Final will comprise of the 3 of us in exactly 1 week's time if you guys don't do your matches. And that's a promise from me to you. And that will be the official Grand Final, and that will be the end of the tournament, okay?
Shit. I like this idea because it means I'll get to the Grand Final where that's like the first time ever, guys.
No, it's the truth. I am serious. I'm deadly serious about this. And if you don't want this, then you have to take it upon yourself.
So basically, what was that all about? So, why was I saying Fraser was going to be in the grand final? So basically, at this time, round 2 had basically dragged on for an eternity, and essentially, I was sick of it. I was like, fuck, I am done with this tournament. It was a shit show. It was a joke. It was apathy up the arse. And have a look at these comments. Like I love going back on these old videos and reading Dessert Monkey's comments in particular. I find he's particularly insightful when it comes to like the sentiment at the time. Whereas like just to put it out there, if the people who have done their matches made it into round 2, then it would be fair to assume they're responsible enough to do their matches with little issue. Please don't prove me wrong and waste more of our time, or at least ask for help or anything. So basically, what he's saying there is, yeah, it's like everyone was holding up round 2 of the tournament, and I think Stick Kid was like, yeah, well, I guess it's going to end. Owen is still waiting for King Europe, unless it's now King Europe waiting for Owen, due to Christians commenting about Owen falling down a well, which is there. So realistically, at this time, I got the distinct impression no one else cared about I'm a Speedrunner, and I think everyone else got that impression too, because I then uploaded.
Yep.
And honestly, this like quasi drama is actually a lot more exciting than the tournament, because I think we found out very quickly that Argonaut speedrunning is not actually that fun. So then we made another video.
Oh, what a surprise!
Yes, I know. What a surprise.
Who's seen that? Who's seen that coming? Oh, do you know what would have been fun? A Pac-Man tournament.
So then we made this countdown to the grand final. So we were hell bent on doing this grand final where we were gonna just fuck around and make Fraser the winner of the tournament. Like we were just
honestly, it's the greatest piece of lost media in the history of the IS series. We don't have it. It's Fraser winning the tournament. Remember?
Yes, he did win.
Yes.
And then
it's gone. We don't have it, and we never will.
There's this video where I hacked my own channel because I was sick of it, and I closed the channel down. This is a fun one. This is called The Future of IAS9. I quite like this one.
Oh, this
question mark.
Sanctimonious bullshit. Oh my god.
Just too late, Alva.
Why is it too late?
It's too late, Alva.
It's not too late.
Too late. Too late.
It's not too late. It's
Too
not too
late.
late.
Too late. Too late. Too late.
What goes through your mind, Angus? I really do. Like,
yeah, I was just saying it was too late. I was too late for the tournament. And you know what's funny as well is that video. So this is me essentially saying that the tournament's fucked. It's over. No one cares anymore. Have a look at the engagement on this video, please. Please have a look at the engagement on this. Nothing. Nothing.
you know what? That's what it deserves.
Except for this one saying, "Hey everyone, I'm the new IAS9 account. Angus has taken over this one at least temporarily. Subscribe to me instead." It was just nobody cared. Even if I hijacked the channel, no one cared.
All right, so couple quick things. So Zindictive and Ratchet 5 did respond to this. And they did take you taking down the channel sort of as a serious thing, but also a jokey thing. They're like, Angus is clearly taking the piss, but also, why are they doing this? Now, the other thing to paint the picture is now you're probably thinking, now, isn't this hypocritical given everything that we've just covered, right? Everything that we've just covered in the last, 4 or 5 years. Isn't it hypocritical to now take the shit on a tournament and everything? But what you've done is you've hopefully, in the eyes of the audience, hopefully you guys have effectively understood what had happened to I'm a Speedrunner by this point, is that it was a gigantic piss take. We just had IAS9, the illegitimate one, which was garbage. We've then moved on to this next series, this next IAS9, without some key people, with a game series or franchise, like a developer that, quite frankly, doesn't have that much greatness in it to really do speedruns. We had a round 2, or was it a round? It was yeah, it was a mess. And so even this drama, even this bullshit was kind of taken not seriously at all. So that kind of paints why you may think, oh, this is hypocritical, but at this point, no one cared. But it is kind of the impetus to what we'll talk about shortly, about how IAS10 was arguably an even bigger shit show.
Yes,
so
right.
it's if you can take any blame, Angus, I do think that you can admit that like what you were doing while it was taking the piss was a bit stupid, and it kind of enabled Subster, I feel like, in some way. It kind of enabled other people to completely shit on the legacy of IAS in some way.
Absolutely. Look, here's my thing about I'm a Speedrunner 9. The first round was fine. Argonaut, whatever. It was fine. I had a really fun race. I think it was the first time me and Desert Monkey raced each other. I had a really good race with Bionicle 2809 in something. It was fine. I enjoyed it enough. Where I was annoyed was that I got the distinct impression from everyone else in the tournament that no one else cared. It really, to me, felt, and maybe it was because I just got a full-time job at that time. I was very busy, working, commuting to work. At that point, I was commuting an hour and a half one way and an hour and a half back. So I was doing like 3 hours a day commuting to work. It was mentally draining for me. And just having the tournament going on, this was not the time I should have been hosting a tournament. If anything, I should have left it to Ratchet 5, but as I said, Ratchet 5 wouldn't have hosted the tournament unless I had created the first video where I was talking about the single elimination style. Now, do I think it would have worked a lot better if it was a single elimination style? I can't actually say. I don't really know. At the time, it was an ambitious move to make it unique and make it different to the ones before. But I guess it was just one of those things where I'm a Speedrunner never truly evolved past what we'd already laid out. Like, the creativity was, like, at a limit. And it's like, if you do anything above that, it's not an IAS tournament. I don't know. What did you guys think of the single elimination format? I'll go to Lyle on this one.
Single elimination format would have done pretty well. That's I always say single elimination tournament tends to be quick if you want a quick tournament. If you want a tournament to end hopefully within a month or two or less, single elimination tournament is your best bet. If you were wanting a short IS, that would have been the best bet. But if you wanted a longer one, then obviously people preferred that old format of the groups. But sadly, it's like you said, it's hard to change something for people if they know what it is. But then people, they complain that it's boring all the time. So, like, yeah, you feel like you have to do change, but then it's never the right change for people. Because they'd be like, oh, I didn't want that, I didn't like that.
That's right.
You just didn't crack the formula yet.
Well,
did.
While you're still talking, I'll just show this. This was the grand final. I made that. That was a picture I made. That was meant to be the I'm A Speedrunner Championship.
That is absolute dog shit. That is.
It's fantastic.
Do you know what? It's probably better.
It's
It's probably better in the belts. It's probably better in the belts we see nowadays, anyway.
It was alright.
exactly.
Come on, it was okay for the time. But anyway, this was the grand final of I'm A Speedrunner 9. I suppose we should talk about this. So the tournament itself was an Argonaut tournament, and then you can see what kind of a piss take is this, that the grand final was some Scooby-Doo thing, and it was Indictive, it was Subster, and it was Super Ghetto Sandwich. And I believe this was the first grand final to feature only one person, like, actually finishing the race and winning on the fact that the other people actually quit. Like, they just quit. They quit the race. Like, Subster quit, and then Super Ghetto Sandwich quit, and then Zindictive won. And it was just like, at that point, it was like, when I found out, wasn't even, like, involved in this. I wasn't in the call or anything. And look at that. We'll see you see you next time in a better tournament with a better final. That is, like, so apropos. Because, like, as we said, the tournament
disappoint.
It really was disappointing. Like, I think, did Zin not even beat
Here's
him?
me.
He didn't even beat the game in the race. Everyone else just quit, and he became champion by default.
And then he went and done it.
And then he finished after they already quit. They quit before he finished the game. That has never happened before, and under my watch will never happen again. What kind of grand final do you have where the winner doesn't even have to beat the goal? It was just he wins by default. That's how little anyone cared about that tournament. It's
and
insane.
the other thing
That's my dream final.
You've also started promoting the IAS Championship Scramble before the grand finals even uploaded. You've like jumped ahead to try and go on to your next ambitious project. That's one thing I've noticed there on the channel. And yeah, it's just very interesting when you look at this channel itself. You've done this 8-minute video about this scramble, and it seems like you hadn't really given up on IAS, so to speak, but you definitely given up on IAS9. Like you were done with IAS9.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I was done. I think everyone else was done with it too. I'd
You've got like an
effectively
update there as well.
given up hosting duties. And then after that, we started the IAS Championship Scramble, which was, look, you might have forgotten about this. This is not an official tournament per se, but it was a event-style situation that I had come up with, and it's kind of spiritually succeeded now by the ISGP exhibition title. It's a similar concept. I'll quickly show you guys in case you've forgotten, but it was essentially a situation where you could play any game, and like if you could speedrun against someone, if you won, you got like 2 points. If you lost, you got 1 point. And then at the end of each month, the points would be racked up, and the winner would get a championship match against the current IAS champion. And my thought process for this was that I'm A Speedrunner 9 had failed so spectacularly as a concept, and trying to recruit like people who weren't really like regulars in the community at that time, trying to recruit people who just didn't care, was a waste of time and a bad idea. And so my thought process post IAS 9 to kind of rejuvenate the community was, let's just keep it within the diehards. Let's just have it so that you can just play whatever you want, an excuse to upload speedruns, kind of like what we used to do with the Spyro Speedruns channel, and play for points, have like a league system, have a championship, and actually defend the championship. And I think we actually did do a title match that we don't recognize, like currently within the ISGP subset of the community, we do not recognize that the title was defended in these tournaments, in this event. But we have here in this race, we have the title match. You can tell it's a title match because it opens with the official title match graphic. See that?
Cheers for pointing that out for us.
Yeah, and there you go, IAS Championship match. And it was Crystal Fissure and the Stick Kid who had won the tournament. Now, this was uploaded, by the way, like less than a month after the end of I'm A Speedrunner 9. So I was like checked out, but like I was kind of like, all right, let's try again. It's like,
what's fascinating, Angus, is that this is like, you pointed it out previously, but this is all like proto ISGP stuff. It's really fascinating when you think about it. Like the building blocks were like there, the foundation was being laid for what came in the future.
Yeah, that's right. And look at this. I had that. So month 1 was like unbranded, right? Month 1. Look at what month 2 was going to be called. Check this out. If I can show you there. Survival.
It's, like you said, like
this whole concept, and it's merging wrestling with speedrunning. And I'll show you like this race that was never done, but basically my concept of the IAS Championship Scramble was kind of what the modern ISGP events are today. I was inspired by wrestling to do sort of pay-per-view style events, and I thought that it would work a lot better doing that rather than doing tournaments at that time. And I think if I had persisted with that, I think it could have been a success. But we just gave up after the first month,
Here's the reality. Here's the reality of the situation. The first video went up for the Championship Scramble. It went up on the 13th of November. It was me versus you in Monsters, Inc. Then there were another 15 videos. The 16th video was myself versus the Stick Kid, and that went up on the 6th of December. So we had 16 uploads in a month, consistent races, varied races. They were fun. I got to race people like Luke in Gex. I got to race, like Shorowal was in it. You were in it. Zin was in it as the champion. I think, honestly, this as a concept was actually very, very good. It just, for some reason, I'll tell you what happened. The answer is very, very simple. What happened to this? We went to Europe. You and I went to Europe. That was it. December. By January, in the middle of January, we went off to Europe. We were starting to plan real life events with Connor, with Al, with Lyle, with Christian. We met everyone. This was our first major international meetup. I honestly think, Angus, that is exactly why this stopped.
I think so too.
Had real life. We had real life going on.
Check this
Because
out.
Other
This
goals.
was on my
Passionate
channel
about
on December 26th, 2014. So, what it was, like Christmas, Boxing Day. This concept might seem familiar. Look at that. What do you call that? That's a trios match.
Yep.
That's a trios match in 2014. It was meant to be. And what is this team? Crystal Fissure, myself, and Hey David 17 against Luke,
The smashing team?
Zindictive, and Spike Stuff.
Did you edit your jawline in that?
I don't think so.
Does that not look kind of edited to anyone else?
It does. Oh god,
But, yeah,
that's like,
crazy.
that's
It's
like
crazy.
1980s wrestling
Team
style right
Challenger,
there.
Team Champion.
Yeah.
Now, like seriously, like
Yeah.
ISGP was well underway before it started. Really, like
Yeah.
we had plans for ISGP style things for like this. You know, this was December 2014, so this is over what, like 3 years before ISGP even started. And I just wondered to
Thing is,
myself,
with it as well.
what could have happened if we continued down this path. I guess we'll never know, because by 2015, you know, everything was different. We weren't really into speedrunning anymore. IAS was kind of gone.
Yeah.
Connor, would you like to
Yeah.
talk about 2015 and sort of the end
actually,
of like the real community days before we talk
Yeah,
about Speedrun 10?
yeah, exactly, yeah, absolutely. Now with IAS 10, like, you know, you're spot on there, because I remember back in IAS 10, like, you know, yourself, Angus, Andrew, Al, were all gone from the whole speedrunning thing.
Yep.
You were all gone. You had checked out at that point. And now thinking about IAS 10, looking back at it now, I just think that looking back, we just lost too many people. Too many people had left, you know, with yourselves. I was doing my own thing in 2015, you know, Luke as well. Like, I know he was suffering from mental health at the time. So like so real life really came in the way. And this is actually something I only realized actually when talking to Luke about this, actually, that I actually, in a way, even though I was in IAS 10, I actually neglected it because real life had gotten away. I basically was finished school at this point. I'd gone back playing a bit more sport in my real life, like playing a bit of football. So you don't actually realize something misses out until like a couple of years ago. And IAS 10, that was free. I'm A Speedrunner 10. I just think the interest was gone pretty much because I think kind of like our kind of group had kind of split off. So. And it just didn't have that same kind of vibe to it. I think just real life got in the way, and we kind of were focusing on real life more than a tournament.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Lyle, your thoughts.
See, the way you were saying there earlier there about how you had all the foundations for ISGP basically, it just wasn't the right time for it. Like I believe that concept you played back then wouldn't have failed if it was at a different time. If you did it maybe a year before, who said it might have worked? But because it was during that period where you were having a lot of speedruns going on, speedrunning tournaments, you're having people's real life coming into play, people leaving, it just wasn't the right time. You weren't getting the support that you needed. And the support, you know, for tournaments to work, you need everyone's support to be able to make it work. You can host a tournament, you can plan everything you want, but it won't make it successful without the body counts, without
Like,
people actually playing their part.
team effort.
Yeah,
Well,
like
I think
Connor
too.
said.
I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head too. Like, and we were managing a dwindling community over Skype, and people were drifting away. It was hard to get in touch with people. As you mentioned, Al was completely checked out by 2015. I had recently moved out of home. I was working full time. For a brief few months, I had a girlfriend in 2015 as well. So I didn't even speak. Get this, I didn't even speak to Crystal Fissure for like 4 months or something like that in 2015.
Wet.
I was as far as I was concerned, I was done with community life. I was done with IAS. I was done with speedrunning. Hey, Crystal Fissure?
Yep.
Yes. Oh, 100%. You were done. I think Ali wanted to say something before you were cut off, but yeah.
Here
go
he is
ahead.
now.
Oh,
Go
thanks. I was just going to mention, like, obviously you and Andrew are, like, super close to the point where I coined the term Congoose, which is a portmanteau of Angoose, which is your nickname, and Fisher's surname, which I'm not gonna, he says it, so, yeah, it was said in the other part, but when do you think was, like, I guess it may have come a bit earlier, probably IAS 8, but, like, when exactly do you think was, like, the genesis of, like, ye two becoming, like, because ye are such a thing now, you know? It's like it's Angus and Andrew, like that's like the duo, right? But like when do you think exactly that began? Like when was that really solidified? Because I just kind of noticing it like here, it's like in my brain I'm starting to think of ye more in this time period as like Congoose
they did
type
this.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let Andrew
was the moment when you
answer
missed the
his
bed?
opinion on that.
When we shared a bed.
Was it that moment when you kissed each other in bed? That's probably when you became a thing.
Yeah, that's when we became official. No. Well, yeah, Andrew, when do you think we became like the team that we are now?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what it is, and it's not quite PG. No, I'm kidding. But it was when this is as detailed as I'll go into it. But I do believe it genuinely began to happen when you went to a meetup in 2014 in April in Sydney. I believe it was when certain things were going on, where you went to Ratchet 5's house, and I just remember there were certain things that were going on at that time that somehow we began talking about this a lot, and we began having a lot of calls by ourselves because Ratchet wasn't there. And I think it was at that point that we had realized that we were like really. Sorry, Lyle's trying to. He's doing faces. It was.
That's why I put Andrew on the main screen. That's why I put him on the big.
Yeah, that's why he did that. That's why he was doing it. He was on the screen.
You're saying Andrew, you're going.
As I was saying, we basically our friendship came out of the fact that our closer friendship was the fact that Ratchet was no longer there as much. He was more preoccupied because my whole thing, and as we talked about in IAS 6 with the IAS 6 episode, I started to feel not alienated, but I didn't really have like a super close friend. I did have Al, but Al was more like with Rabbit at the time, and it was just kind of, I don't know, I was kind of left a bit. Yeah, there was a period in IAS 6 where you and Rabbit were.
IAS 6, right? Sorry, right. I thought you meant like 2014. I was like, whoa, really?
No. And so I was kind of a bit left out. It was before it was Angus and Andrew. It was Angus and Andrew, right? It was Ratchet 5. It was not me. I was the third wheel. And so, as I said, keep going back to April 2013 is when I believe it sort of became a thing. And then, obviously, that next meetup in July, which is where a lot of these personal issues get bubbled up between us three with Ratchet. That's when it really became solidified. And then we had a third meetup that year, or the second one between Angus and I, where our families actually went to Stradbroke Island together. So we were like actually unionizing the families. My parents met your grandparents, your parents, etc. And so it just sort of, I don't know, it just kind of birthed that.
Yeah,
These are definitely touching butts.
It was
Definitely
honestly, yeah. I would say that first, like, the first time I think we really bonded was that first meetup with. It was you, it was me, it was Ratchet 5. The three of us were together.
Yeah.
He was like absent. He was asleep most of the time and everything like that. Like, don't get me wrong.
The 2013 one.
We met up and like we spent a lot of quality you and me time together. In the Adelaide meetup in 2012. But definitely by that second meetup, or that meetup in 2013 where it was the three of us, where he was like completely checked out. In fact, it seemed like he didn't want to be there most of the time. And you and I were going off on adventures and doing things together and really kind of bonding. We set a world record together. For those of you who don't know, for a brief period of time, Crystal Fisher and I held the world record for being in the world's largest orchestra. We went to a big football stadium and we played the recorder to some song, and it was the most people ever playing the same song in a.
You sure it's not the most intimate relationship?
What was it? What did you say?
Sure, it wasn't for the most intimate relationship. I was gonna.
Oh no, you can't mention that, Lyle. Oh.
And then what really solidified it was the first time Crystal Fisher and I went over to like Europe together. Like, I mean, that was huge. Think about that. We traveled the world together, and that that brings two people together in a very intimate way, as they say, Lyle.
That's right. Many shared beds. That's right.
There were lots of shared beds. But anyway, I think
Cars combined.
To me, at this point, you're right. I was more interested in just like following. Like I was career orientated. I was interested in pursuing this relationship I had with this woman, this girl at the time who I knew, and Crystal Fissure at the same time was in a relationship. I just moved out of home. I was super busy and that kind of thing. I probably didn't speak to any of you guys after that first trip to Europe. I don't think I spoke to any of you guys for like a whole. I don't even know. 2015 to me was such a blur of a time.
Yep.
And at that point, I guess that's why the stragglers on the people who were left, wanted another tournament. They wanted to finish I'm a Speedrunner. They were like
bottom feeders.
The bottom feeders known as Vindictive and Desert Monkey JK. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
Nah, how dare you?
I'm joking.
Don't you dare put Desert Monkey into that.
No. I'm not calling you guys bottom feeders. However, by 2015, there was a situation where Vindictive wanted another tournament. He didn't think that IAS9 was the correct way to end things. He thought that it was a shit show, as we all did. But at the same time, I was like, whatever, I'm done. And Crystal Fissure was done, Al was done, Lyle was done. The only person I think left was... Connor was done too. Fraser was the only one left, really. Oh, no, And Connor, I think you were... Anyway, whatever. The point being, Ratchet 5 didn't care anymore. The I'm a Speedrunner property was beyond deceased. So Vindictive and Desert Monkey JK were like, you know what? Let's do one more. One more final tournament. I am a Speedrunner 10. Let's end things in a big way. And boy, did they try to end things in a big way. Let us talk about this tournament. This was by far the worst I'm a Speedrunner tournament in my opinion. In the poll we've done, I am happy to say I voted this one the worst. I wasn't even in this tournament. I was asked to be in the tournament. I was given...
Why you voted it?
I was not. Well, why don't we get words from the person who was here in the tournament? Connor David, would you like to start us off talking about I'm a Speedrunner 10, please? Let's talk about that tournament.
Yes, I'm a Speedrunner 10. I believe it was an Insomnia and Naughty Dog tournament, but ended up pretty much only being really Spyro and Crash. Like if we're being...
Could have just said it that.
If we're calling a spade, like Ratchet and Clank wasn't really existent at all, really, in that tournament. But as I said earlier, with the people like leaving and people that weren't as active, like not being as active anymore, it really, really showed, I felt, in that tournament. Now, you might be able to get away with like one or two, or three maybe, leaving or not being around, but like when you kind of lose as many people as we did, it does really show, I felt, and I think it did show in that tournament that. Like, you can't just replace, like, people like that overnight, Like, they had a lot of experience, they brought a lot of good things to the table, and all that is gone. I just felt there wasn't that replacement sort of thing. That same spark just wasn't there for the last tournament, which is a shame in a way, because it was the last tournament. Like, this was going to be the last I'm a Speedrunner tournament. But it was just
planned to be, but again, this is a list of people who weren't in this tournament. So we have... Myself, I wasn't there. Crystal Fissure wasn't there. Lyle wasn't there. Al wasn't there. Even King Europe 1 was there, but he did none of his races. If I'm to be... Yeah, he did 2 of his races, sorry. He did 2 of his races. Fraser did 2 of his races. Fraser? Whatever. Bionicle 289 joined and then quit. So yeah, like, you really had not many of the key players. So That was one thing the tournament didn't have going for it. The other thing it didn't have going for it, right off the bat, there were evil intentions at play. First things first this was when Morgan joined the community around this time, who was a big fan of the I'm a Speedrunner series at the time, and he was keen to finally join a tournament. And maybe too keen, because he caught the ire of Hey David 17, who I know is your friend, Lyle, but... wanted to really haze Morgan. And one of the key things that originally was planned was that, and I can't believe this even, like, was a thing, but because they perceive Morgan as being too overconfident, Stick Kid Zindictive and Dessert Monkey JK agreed to rig the round 1 draw so David would get to race Morgan and essentially bully him online. Like, what the hell is that? That is, like, honestly one of the most mean-spirited things that has ever happened in an I'm a Speedrunner tournament. Thankfully, it didn't actually happen, because Hey David 17 dropped out of the tournament, because the other thing that happened before this tournament even started was that Stick Kid wanted it to be a 32-man tournament. However, only 30 people signed up. So David then said, hey, why don't we just do 5 groups of 6? And then Stick Kid was like, no, let's not do that. Fuck you, David. I hate you. And then David quit the tournament, so they didn't even get a chance to do that bullying of Morgan. Like, what the fuck? Seriously, Lyle, let's talk about your friend David. I hope he watches this. I know you keep in touch with him every day. Like, you know, what was he up to at this time? What was he trying to do?
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that? Well, now
I didn't even know about
that. I could interject if you like with some insight.
I had no clue. 'Cause I was oblivious to all this. Like, literally, whenever IAS9, all that there, when I left, I wasn't even speaking to David as much during that time. I think I started speaking to David more about maybe 2 years ago. But like we would still stay in touch, but back then, but we weren't like I left completely. Like, I just stopped everything. And all that there, so I had no clue. That's why I didn't even know who Morgan was. At one point, I didn't even know until you told me. Well, back, it's like, he's been around for so long. And I was like, I didn't know him.
It's like, what?
I was so confused. Like, but I didn't know about that one. Yeah, that's new news to me.
I can try and shed some light, and I might throw it to Connor to maybe help me too if he can. But I'm gonna choose my words delicately, but it doesn't surprise me that Hey David would do something like this. Now, I always got along well with him. I never had an issue with Hey David backing out World Cup speedruns, whichever one I was in, etc. But he exhibited some behaviors which there's a specific. I can't talk about this incident, but I can talk about it off record. But it was just particularly bad, and it doesn't surprise me that he would do this as well. Like, yeah, that's all I can say.
You have to remember the kind of group he was part of. So, like, he was part of my group and Bandy and all of us. So our mentality was quite similar. Like, I always said, people love to hate me, but hated to love me.
Yeah,
I described myself.
You were definitely like a troll. I felt, and
yeah,
we spoke about this in one of the earlier parts. But to have Lyle and Al and myself, whenever the three of us as well got together, it was always a bad time. Mostly for Connor, unfortunately.
Yes, that's correct.
But anyway, I'll quickly Connor, your thoughts about this Morgan hazing.
I actually, that is actually true, by the way, Angus. Well done for being honest. You give it, you take it. I'm just kidding. But the thing with Morgan is that I'm like Lyle. I was oblivious to this whole draw thing. But all I can say is that is unacceptable from David, and that's it. And it's not picking on David. I said the same as anyone else, but that is just unacceptable. You do not rig a draw first and foremost, and you most certainly do not rig a draw just so you can bully someone online.
That's right. Now,
I would agree. I would agree. Like, would 2015 Lyle agree to that? Probably not. He probably would have done it himself. But no, Lyle would probably been like, yeah, I would do that now. But back then, I'd probably be like, yeah, you know what? I'll rig the draw for you. But no.
So,
it was bit
by the way, this tournament did eventually go ahead with 5 groups of 6. So Stick, I love Zindictive. I love Stick Kid. He will be the first person to agree that he is prone to blow-ups and he is prone to aggressive outbursts. And he really didn't take well to the whole groups of 6 thing, although Dessert Monkey did talk him into it. Now, we should also mention that a guy called the Subster...
Hold on, I'm a speedrunner 10. No, hold on, stop. It was groups of 4, not 6. It was groups of 4. It was not groups of 6.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Apologies.
Facts right, Angus?
Sorry, I should get my facts right. Sorry. I was about to mention as well that a guy called the Subster131, who was he was in I'm A Speedrunner 9 as well, and I think he was in IAS Illegitimate Acquisition of Speedrunning 9. He was also one of the hosts too, and he was a very inexperienced guy, but I think he was a fan of the I'm A Speedrunner series, and definitely wanted to get some clout out of participating, and I think this is a trap a lot of people fell into at the time too, was that you know, people wanted to progress in these tournaments, they wanted to get, like, you know, they felt personal achievement through doing this kind of stuff, and we'll talk about Subster in a bit, but basically the next thing happened was Zindictive kicked David from the tournament because David was, I guess, like trying the mere suggestion of doing groups of 6 pissed Stick Kid off so much, and also he joined after the deadline, and then Stick Kid kicked him from the tournament. So then David, who I guess got the password from someone, possibly Subster, most likely Subster.
I think so, yeah.
Did this to
They were quite close at the time.
Did this. He hacked the channel. We have another channel hacking. Another channel hacking situation. By 2015, the channel hacking wasn't done. People still hacked it. By the way, I love how this says, if I zoom out, it says, none of the hosts did this. I like that. I like that very much. So, again, the channel was hacked by someone called The Russian, and they essentially blackmailed Zindictive into quitting from being a host, and if he quit, they would give the channel back. Now, I
wonder who that was.
This was David and Subster, wasn't it, Connor?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So David and Subster basically. Yeah.
And fun fact about it, literally, when was IAS10? 2015?
Yeah, 15, yeah.
Whenever that happened, I think World Cup Speedruns 4 took place, and that was Hey David and Subster as the hosts back in 2015. That was the summer.
We're about to get to that. This long and twisted tale has several more things. So basically, Zindictive dropped out of being the host at the behest of Subster and David, posing as someone from Russia, an anonymous person who held the channel at ransom. Then basically, there was another video uploaded to the channel by Gag73, who wasn't me, by the way. It wasn't me. It was Subster and David, again, posing as Gag73 to create some drama, and basically, Desert Monkey, being the guy he is, backed up all the videos at this point, changed the password, set on 2-factor authentication. Stick Kid then was blamed for being Gag73 by Subster, so Subster... this guy, I don't understand what his deal was. Like, he posed as Gag73, then blamed Stick Kid for being Gag73, and then, on top of it all, Subster and Hey David were like, during IAS10, mind you, during the tournament, decided to host World Cup Speedruns 4. During IAS10. What the absolute fuck? And at this point, Ratchet 5 stepped in and basically said, you guys can't do this, and basically put up the ultimatum that they would have to drop out of one of the tournaments, and kind of blackmailed him, didn't he, Crystal Fisher?
That's correct. So, yeah, so basically, it's funny, when you hear that, you think, and funnily enough, while I would not, quote-unquote, side with Ratchet 5 here, when you look at actually what happened, it does make sense that this happened, because it's clear now. It becomes clear now. Obviously, we've done a lot of, in the little bits we've talked about it, praised World Cup speedruns. But this is the first time here where it's actively, in my opinion, dodgy, because the whole thing, it seems as if, I can't confirm or deny with certainty, that Subster and Hey David wanted to mess with I'm A Speedrunner in order to prop up World Cup speedruns, which, in Lyle's words, off the record to me, sort of peaked around 3, right? So 4 is not doing as well. 4 is maybe not going to be as big. It's going into I'm A Speedrunner.
16 people took part in it.
There we go. So it actually, the narrative starts to come together here. This is probably the first time it's ever been extensively connected like this. So, you know, it's one of those things where, can I sit there and say, okay, it's poor form from Hey David and Subster? Yes. However, would I say I would never want to hear it from their perspective? No, I actually do have it. I do have an interest in hearing what their mindset was, because we've never really heard it from their side ever. So there is that interest there, but it's definitely one of those things where this is we're not done yet. We're not quite done yet, but it's a deplorable way to go through this tournament. It's taken all of the negative aspects of these tournaments and just put them all into one, and arguably done even worse things than happened in the past with the blackmailing and the you've got to drop out and I'm going to rig this draw and etc. etc.
That's right. And then to top it all off, David and Subster deleted the I'm a Speedrunner 10 channel. And by the way, this is the first time in history that a original I'm a Speedrunner channel is gone. It's gone. The original IAS 10 is gone. All that is left, and where the videos are uploaded to this day, is this channel called IAS 10 IND. It has only 18 subscribers, and the views aren't great. This is Mayo Doctor versus some guy called Stibnative. And it's a real shame that I'm a Speedrunner 10 kind of went that way, and that it really is the... I don't know, it's the only channel not to survive the internal drama. Mostly because I think, yeah, you're right. David and Subster were friends. That was how Subster kind of came into the community. And David was more focused on World Cup speedruns, and he had an in with Subster, and Ratchet 5 was not the Ratchet 5. By 2015, he was not the same guy. I think the history of I'm a Speedrunner has chronicled the decline of Ratchet 5, in my opinion, from mature figurehead to complete shambles of a host. And all this stuff happened, and all to seemingly make I'm a Speedrunner 10 fail and make World Cup Speedruns 4 look better by comparison. Then we have to talk about the grand final of I'm a Speedrunner 10, because this is where it all comes to Now, as we
quickly jump one more thing and say that actually City Ruler actually came back to this tournament, the guy that we did the wrong thing with the put up against the wall and shot thing, right? So that was actually probably the most, in my opinion, most notable return. But it sounds like if you look at this wiki that he did not have a good time in this tournament either. So just to compound that with more bullshit, there we go. City Ruler won. We had Luke come back as a replacement, and it was just.
I'm a Speedrunner 10 probably deserves. You could talk about that on its own. I think one day we'll have Desert Monkey JK in here to talk about I'm a Speedrunner 10. But the real crux of it all comes to a head in the I'm a Speedrunner 10 grand final. I'll pop it up on screen while we talk about it. There you go. So it was Crash Bandicoot. No, it wasn't just Crash 2. It was a bunch of games. It was Crash 2,
Crash 2 and Spyro 1.
And Spyro 1. So it was
this is the one that Abdo won, wasn't it?
No, Mayo won this one. So
Mayo won this?
It basically, if you look at the footage in the bottom right-hand corner, it's not labeled, but that would be the fourth grand finalist, which would be Subster131, who was one of the hosts of the tournament who qualified for the finals. However, and by the way, I would just like to also point out that this bottom right-hand corner wins the race. I'll try to find the spot where he wins it. He wins the race. This guy wins the race. This Subster131 wins it. However, controversy abounds. This was not Subster131 playing. This was Hey David 17 playing for Subster131, which came out after this race had already been uploaded, and then the whole results had to be changed around, and they were disqualified from the tournament. So, I mean, honestly, how could you possibly defend I'm a Speedrunner 10 in any way, shape, or form? This was a complete disaster.
Bastardization.
It was a complete bastardization of it, and it led to Subster and David being permanently banned from the tournament, from any future tournaments, and it was just honestly the peak of internal politicking, infighting, whatever you want to call it. There's no way you can defend this tournament, is there, Al? What are your thoughts?
Nope. I've always said, I don't consider this to be canon, and I stand by that, and just having all of this being explained now, I think that really does underline why it shouldn't be, and it's ultimately not the fault, I don't think, of Zin or Adam or anyone. It's just unfortunate that Hey David and Subster were a tandem in this case, and yeah, they did what they did. Now, to be fair, I can't believe I'm saying this, but to be fair to Subster, he's like 16 or something. Like he's like a young kid at this stage, so you're in that kind of like trolley mindset, I suppose. Hey, Dave, maybe really should have known better, but either way, they did what they did, and it was just absolutely ridiculous behavior and conduct. And yeah, the tournament's a shit show. The only good thing I think about it is that Mayo Doctor won in the end. But yeah, I unfortunately I don't consider it to be canon. I just think it's just there. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lyle, your thoughts?
Like, see, like it's one of those ones where like I dropped off the ball. Like I didn't keep any tabs on anything after 9. So like I knew about the events of 10, but never really give the toss really or give the crap about it.
Yep.
But like for me, like. You can see the decline, like you were talking previously, previous parts where like the decline started to happen after 6 and stuff, and it slowly declined. And once 9 happened, and then 10, that was just when it hit rock bottom. Like there was no coming back from that. Like to me, IS8 always ended at 8 for me, and after that, everything else was just, you know, it was just a piss take, and it was just there.
I think that's the key. Connor, do you have any thoughts about 10?
Just on that grand final as well, like Subster made a huge deal about David being in that final call as well. Like I remember actually asking him, "Can I be in the final?" Because I thought, I'd been around since IS6. I thought I deserve at least to be in the final. And he said, "Yeah, that's no bother." And then someone else asked them to be in the final, and then someone asked, "Why is David here?" And Subster's reason was, "Yeah, well, Gameson gets to be here. Dave gets to be here, but I had a genuine reason to be here." Subster, that was the difference.
Yeah, that's interesting. Good insight. Good insight.
We can't forget as well, Ratchet 5 was banned from being in the final of IAS 10 as well, which was something that he was bothered him as well. And I think you can kind of see why he was banned, can't you, Crystal Fissure?
Yes, I was just going to say, to peel back the curtain a little bit, he was still mad about this during one of the last times we've ever spoke. He was still mad about being not locked out of that grand final. So this is something that has stuck with him for, at that point, 5 years. So, it's one of those things where it's like, this tournament is, to me, so my sort of thoughts about it, I actually said this in the video, which I recommend you guys watch just from a perspective of, listen to how far this has fallen. It's called the Subster Dilemma. We'll put it in the link to it in the description. Fraser says, speedrun drama brings back nostalgia from the crass community days, right? It's already feeling like it's old. I say, I know it's probably a little arrogant, probably was, but the previous drama at the very least had a purpose. What's happened here is genuinely more pathetic than past incidents. Someone's insecurity is taking over the tournament in such a ridiculous, childish way. And I think that the biggest question I have is, even though we kind of know a little bit more about this World Cup Speedruns dilemma as well, why did it have to be like this? Like, why did it have to get to such an extent at the end, much less at the very, very end as well? Why did it have to get there at the very end? Yeah.
Like, why? David
it's
was
depressing.
A troll.
It's flat out depressing.
Subster was a kid. They were just, they this is what annoys me. This is what really annoys me, and I empathize with Zin a lot here, because the whole mentality of I'm a Speedrunner 10 was this is it. Going in, it was the catchphrase was I'm a Speedrunner, finally get me to the end of there. It was going to be the very, very last I'm a Speedrunner tournament. And I think if I have to put on another one of my conspiracy hats, I think David and Subster were out to just fuck with Zin and make it the worst tournament. I believe that. I believe that was
I would say straight up.
Yeah.
I say straight up. You know why they did it? It's just because they can.
Yeah.
If I was around that time, would have I done it? Probably would have helped. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
probably would have helped. Yeah, that's it.
Because
people
if I was around,
didn't like Zin.
I probably would.
Was that Christopher?
Yeah.
People didn't like Zin. Yeah. Like, he's our friend, but like at the end of the day, like that was the thing. Like, there was still residual memes about the whole fuck this shit, the rant, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be the exact same thing if Malmo Club 2 came back and did a tournament. I think people would be lining up to take the piss out of it, because then he'd be able to do that.
I would have been first.
Have deleted the channel.
I would have been first off the bat. I would have straight off. That was just me.
But
Back
what
then I would have done it.
But did Subster actually know about all of that crap? Like, where I don't know where this guy even came from in the first place. You know, like I do agree with that. Don't get me wrong, but like I would just like to kind of wind that back and say, but what did Subster know about like Zin prior to that type of thing?
He would have been
He
informed.
was definitely like
I
a
think he would have been
fan
informed
of
too.
He joined in IAS9, so he was
Right.
around from at least
German 9. Yeah.
German. Actually, I don't think he wasn't. No, he wasn't in that one. So he joined in I'm A Speedrunner 9. Sorry. So he came around in 2014.
But his account was created in 2011.
Yeah, so he definitely had at least like a year's worth of time to like get himself up to speed on like the lore of IAS at that time. And I think like I just think he was a kid. I'd love to talk to him because I think in the grand scheme of things, I held no real personal attachment to I'm A Speedrunner 10. And I mean, if you're watching this Subster, if you got this far, please, drop us a line. We'd love to actually get you on for your side of the story. But to me, as a outsider, I had no clue what was going on with this. I did not know this drama. I did not know what was happening. I quite frankly didn't care. But then when it was explained to me and someone said to me that this was the last tournament, I was like, excuse me, what? The last tournament is going to be hosted by Stick Kid, Dessert Monkey JK, and this guy Subster, who I've never heard of. And the grand final consists of Subster not even playing, Hey David 17 playing for him, him winning illegitimately, him cheating to win, and I just couldn't handle it. I could not handle.
But you got. I could say, like, for example, with Subster, like, you're wondering, say, like, what he had against Stick Kid. Him coming into the community back then, or the community that was formed back then, was quite similar whenever I came in, by, like, what was it, 2012, I think, or 13,
yeah.
or 2012, and Games Andy and I, obviously being Games Andy, we're friends now and all that there, but, like, I used to troll Games Andy. Did I hate him? Did I have a reason to? I just did it. And do you know why? It's because when you see a group of people attack someone, you tend to join in. And because he may have seen from the sideline how David and everyone else, how he treated Stick Kid, he's like, well, I could do that too.
Yeah.
As a person who has a PhD in trolling, I would understand why he would do it. Young,
like, so he can prove himself. He can get like laughs type of thing.
Why? In a way, it was like survival of the fittest. Why be the one person to help the person up to be kicked down with him when you get due to kicking with people and not be kicked down?
That's right. Yeah.
It's like it's in a way. It's a way like whenever I was friends with Bandy, back whenever I started, Bandy was trolling people. And he'd read the room, so I became technically, I would say, his like right-hand man in sort of trolling then, so we were quite close.
100. You, Ricky, Bandy, David, you guys were bad. Worse than me and Al ever were.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hands down agree. And I go back to that statement.
Oh, Crystal Fisher.
I just want to go back quickly. I just want to quickly take it back to just once again this Subster dilemma, because to me it's like just the most interesting video of 17 minutes where all these guys are basically together. I just want to point out that there is then a further fight between Dessert Monkey and Ratchet on this video, which they're then talking about like Subster not getting his chance to do his side and all this kind of stuff. I just want to say, I just want to keep stressing how baffled I am with all of this, even after reading thousands of words on it. Like this is, you say this tournament is like the most irrelevant piece of shit tournament, yet there is probably almost the most content written about it throughout the old wiki, on Wikia, on the comment sections, on the video discussions. It's a mess. I just want to keep emphasizing how much of an absolute fucking mess this was. Like, I don't even begin how to properly like deal with it. I mean, I'm with you, Angus, in that I know that like he's older, probably doesn't remember half the stuff, but I would love to even if it's not even a chat, but just a DM. I just want to know more about the Hey David and Subster side and the truth, not a lie, not a like a retconning. We've all admitted to doing some stupid shit in this series, which I think has been great because we can all grow up and admit our faults in certain things. But this one, just to me, is just so confusing even now.
It's
I'm
to
still
me,
confused.
not being there at the time, I have spent the last 6 years still trying to figure it out, and I still have no closer, I don't think, to really understanding it. It's what happens when you let the what do they say? It's when you let the inmates run the asylum. That's it. And I think we've dedicated a lot of time to I'm A Speedrunner 10. I would love to talk about it more, and I think that there is time to talk about it. We'll definitely in the discussion of like the rankings, I think we'll dedicate some time to it. But right now, let's talk about the I'm A Speedrunner Invitational Tournament, the IAS Invitational Tournament. And I'd just like to set things up. I'd like to just quickly play you guys a quick intro of a clip teed up here from the magnificent King Europe 1, who is actually listening to this right now. He made us this video for his round 0 race with Crystal Fissure. What the hell's round 0? What's the IAS Invitational? We'll tell you in a sec, but check this out.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light. It's time to meet the Muppet on the Muppet Show tonight.
It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain on the Muppet Show tonight. Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's like a kind of torture to have to watch the show.
Dear. Okay, so the IAS Invitational was, I mean, I wish I had a really like lengthy setup for it, but my main thing is just I had the same goal as Vindictive had before me. The tournament had happened, I'm A Speedrunner 10 had happened. I was very upset once I was informed about the whole situation. I was like, this is no good. I have like, I guess I'd been inactive in 2015, but 6 years of my life had been sort of like connected to this franchise of speedrunning on the internet, and I was just not prepared for it just to end on such a shitty note. Like, no matter what way you slice it up, the I'm A Speedrunner 10 Grand Final was abysmal. It was so bad. So I then decided, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the IAS Invitational. And this was the first time in the history of the franchise of I'm A Speedrunner, it was the last tournament, funnily enough, that I was able to actually have a vision from start to finish, enact it all, and look, mixed results. It was a Muppet Monster Adventure tournament, it was this kind of thing, you're speedrunning in just one game. It was only one game. There was no deviation of it. It was a 10-man single elimination tournament. It was invitational, meaning that only past IAS, I guess, alumni could be in it, people who we trusted, people who we liked, and it was just an excuse to get around and have a fun time, play some video games, and just shoot the shit. And I thought that the IAS Invitational was, for what it was, for what I was trying to achieve with it, I thought it was a success. But I guess I'd like to just quickly hear Al's opinion on it, because he has a different take on the Invitational tournament.
As do I.
No, I think it was a lot of fun, and hearing Christian's feedback on it too, where he said that he really enjoyed it, was like he considers it like one of like the top best. I think that's really cool. And I just don't consider it like exactly canon. I kind of consider it like like you finish a book and then you have like the addendum at the end. Like, that's kind of what I gotta see it as, because of the fact that it had such a little amount of participants, I guess, but it's still good in its own right. I just think in terms of like canonically, I just don't consider it as part of like the whole thing. But what I do want to say before we kind of talk about that is this actually occurred during the time where I just started my first like proper full-time job, so I'm surprised I even was able to partake in it. But I think what I really like about it is round 0, it's like Fissure versus Christian and me versus Fraser. Now usually you'd think that would result in Fissure and I going through, but actually I'd never played Muppet Monster Adventure, so Fraser beat me because I didn't know what I was doing, and then Christian was an expert in the game and he beat Fissure on the same basis. So isn't that actually kind of cool? Like, I actually really like that about it. So
see in one regard, that's cool. In the other regard, the fact that you and I had to fight to get in the first place is kind of what made it hilarious, because what happened is apparently you and I showed no interest in joining and we had to be convinced. which makes sense. Now, the big thing about this tournament to me, and Angus, we talked about this personally, because this is when we're not talking about IAS, in a video format. We're just talking about it when we're roaming the streets. That's what we do. The thing with this tournament is that this was once again another Ratchet, another Angus tribute to Ratchet 5. That's the deep lore of it. The deep lore of it is that once again, Angus wanting to be in Ratchet's good graces, it seemed, and wanting to do a tournament based on an LP that he rather famously did at the time on YouTube. The Muppet Monster Adventure LP by Ratchet was viewed by a lot of people, and Angus absolutely adored it. So once again, you dedicated the final IAS tournament ever to what, in my opinion, an average platformer that has such a skill flaw that anyone that was like any bit good at it, there was people like Al and I had zero chance. Whereas like a game like an Argonaut game, you can pick it up and get good. Muppet Monster Adventure is a a really long game, and the grand final ended up being almost 4 hours. I'm pretty sure.
I think if I remember correctly, the grand final was not that it was 2 hours 10 minutes, so it wasn't super long. But
okay,
I will say, look, I think from my perspective, the biggest problem with the Invitational was that it was an obscure game. I think for the final tournament, it should have just been Spyro. Yeah. The other thing too that I think we're forgetting is that Al talks about it being like small in terms of like people. Crystal Fisher and I, we discussed this about a week or two ago, and we were like, who else could have joined this tournament? We were racking our brain, and at this time, there were about 10 people left in the community. It was crazy. Like, it was honestly minuscule.
Johnny wasn't going to enter.
Connor wasn't in it. Connor, do you think he might have joined this, or had you been contacted?
I was contacted by Angus, and I would have joined. I just didn't have the time, because I literally had started college in Sligo that same week, so it just didn't suit. And my thing is very much that I'll join as long as I have the time.
Yeah, of course.
And I think Lyle, you were contacted too, but you couldn't participate either.
I said, "Fuck that! Not playing Muppets."
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, I'd say so.
I was just like, I remember Ratchet actually messaged me about it. He's like, "Do you want to take part?" And I was like, "Fuck no! I don't think I'm not playing Muppets." It's like Muppets are for kids.
So I
don't want that.
Not through lack of trying. Not through lack of trying did I attempt to recruit people for this tournament. Like it was something that like I think it was a single elimination format. It was back to what I originally intended for I'm A Speedrunner 9, and I think if this was I'm A Speedrunner 9, if this tournament, you can see there's the brackets there with the like situation. So Zadeskate was in it, Luke was in it, Muddy was in it, Ratchet 5 was in it, myself, Zindictive, King Europe 1, and Fraser. If this, and I can't remember how we determined the round 1 races. I think it was a random draw, but there was no draw video ever uploaded for it, because this tournament was for us. It was just for us. Mm-hmm. This was not for the community. This was not for people to hack the channel. This was not for the memes or anything like that. It was just for us to. Mm-hmm. And again, it's funny that this is 6 years ago. And in that video I played, in this one here, the one where Christian made the intro, he's making it seem like we're all super old. He's making this is his version of Fraser. Like, not untrue, but we were wistful about the whole thing. Or listful, is that the term? Listful? I don't know. We were nostalgic for the I'm A Speedrunner franchise, even in 2015. Even when we were 6 years younger. I was like 21. You were 23, Al. We weren't old or anything, but we were definitely.
I was 20.
You were 20. I mean, we were definitely nostalgic for the property at that time, and I think I was just like, guys. There's only a few of us left. We don't talk as much as we used to. It's just one of those things where it's like, over a couple days, the tournament didn't go that long. It was like September to like November, and I think most of the round 1 races were done over a few days. I was just like, guys, let's just get together. Let's just, the core group of guys, the mainstays, let's just have a bit of fun. Let's kind of put all the shit behind us and move on. And I think it's hard to argue, in my opinion, that the I'm A Speedrunner Invitational Tournament is any worse than I'm A Speedrunner 9 or 10. Like, I personally believe that is better than those two at least. I wouldn't say, in my opinion, it can classify as one of the best overall, but I do think it earns its place among the other tournaments. I think there are tournaments worse than it. Let's just put it that way. Do you agree?
Yep. Yep. Well, absolutely, I agree with that. And I also want to say that it was really cool because I don't think I hadn't spoken, at least with you anyway, Angus, and probably many other people in ages when I first like joined whatever the Skype call was for this. Like I know for a fact that this was like after a long period of like a long absence for me, where I was like, oh shit, like this is cool, you know, like we're doing it again. It was actually that from that perspective very cool. I don't know what happened to Fraser and I's race footage, but it's not there anymore apparently. But that did happen, and I know it happened. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was good. Honestly, like good. I would say. But for the meme, I do like claiming it's non-canon as well, so that you don't have a championship win. That's another thing. That's just me kind of like.
I did end up winning this tournament, even though it was surprising because I was never considered to be the best at this game, and I honestly like should have lost to Muddy or someone or Zadeskate. The grand final, by the way, of this tournament, I thought I think this is a very suitable final. Despite the game, the last I'm a Speedrunner race in history will always and forever be myself and Muddy Maestro. And as you guys know, we were very much, me and Muddy were perennial rivals. We were tied together in many tournaments. We were drawn together, multiple races. I think we'd played each other like 4 times across like 3 IAS tournaments or something. So
why does this have 31 dislikes? What the sorry?
Oh, I'll tell you why. I'll take because I've been holding off. I've been holding off on this final piece of lore expansion.
Go on,
you gonna tell us now? We're waiting for you.
Spill the beans.
I was going for a real dramatic pause, but I come across like a pretentious ass hack because I was like moving my hips below for some reason. Anyway, so this happened. This video was uploaded on the 11th of November, day after Angus's birthday, just to dox him there if you want to get his details. And this happened basically during the Ratchet 5 death saga, where he faked his own death. And that is exactly why he is. There is 31 dislikes. Now, where is it? Let's see. Farewell. Okay, so I'm looking at his channel now. What is everybody's problem? Says Angus on a video. Let's see.
Why are you all complaining?
That's right. Lamentably, during this time, I'll just come out and say Ratchet 5 was not in a good place mentally, and I don't want to I keep the key with these videos, these when he's not here to talk about himself, I don't want to share his private mental health information around. I think that's only fair. But yeah, he wasn't in a good place, and we sort of, him and I were kind of reconnecting at that point after not really talking for a long time, and we just decided, we'll make light of your situation and we'll pretend that you've died on the internet. And I guess our thought process was, you only really get one chance at pretending someone has died, so why not just do it? And the whole point of that was, this was my last ditch attempt at rejuvenating the speedrunning franchise. I had spoken to Ratchet 5. I guess we could talk about the fact that in the grand final of the I'm a Speedrunner 10, they actually talked about this thing called RIP, which was a concept Ratchet 5 had come up with to supersede or be the successor to IAS, which was going to be running in the past. And the whole concept of that was that we were going to play off the fact that he had died and he was RIP, he was rested in peace. And so it was going to be a Banjo-Kazooie tournament. Again, another idea to do a tournament on a game series that hardly anyone plays in the community. Like, what were we thinking? So at that point, I started a Let's Play of Banjo-Kazooie on Ratchet 5's channel. And I think, as you can see here, it did not go down very well because the concept was that I had hijacked his channel and had killed him.
Alan, Alan, I despise this, by the way.
Yes,
I absolutely despise this.
Yeah.
It was
I
all
was like-
going on
you-
during the Invitational tournament too, which was
Yeah.
probably
You're saying, Connor?
I was gonna say, if you want to do a let's play, do it on your own channel.
There you go.
See,
Take that.
his Crystal Fissure completely out of it. This was me after. I suppose spoilers. This is me after I'd already won the tournament. I was the IAS champion at this point, and you know it's one of those other things too. One of those other predecessors to ISGP. We're putting wrestling storylines into it. There I am wearing glasses and like a suit.
This looks like a religious. This just looks like one of those like state specific US religious channels or something. I don't know why. It's like Angus is just some Hollywood Mormon pastor or something. He's just
Posting that video. I don't think he's alive. I know he's alive. He's not alive.
That's the famous video where I say, "My future's so bright, I've got to wear shades."
That's
that one. But yeah, I mean, this is just quickly take a look at this one. This is the kind of look at my performance here. This is what we're talking about. Ready? This is called How Ratchet 5 Died.
Hi guys, it's Ratchet 5, and what the fuck is everybody's problem? Why on earth are you people going around and disliking my videos still? I have said this from day fucking dot.
Oh my.
This is a tribute let's play to Ratchet 5.
I'm sure you're gonna
and I understand
I'll overlay this audio. Yeah, great. I was just gonna point out, this is when you definitely fully shifted to what you are today. Especially there was a clip you played earlier. I think it was IAS9 talk show. Yeah, it was the IAS9 grand final thing. You could hear your voice changing, your accent changing, and now here it's just you now. That's it. It's just funny how that happened.
On some history, folks. For the last year and a half plus.
Yeah and a half. Yeah, this is you now.
About any of
and another thing as well to talk about maybe is you patched it up with Ratchet. I would love to hear maybe a bit about how that came to be too. For not going on for too long.
Yeah, I guess we kind of glossed over that, but essentially the way Crystal Fissure and I patched things up with Ratchet 5 was we just did. That's it. There's no.
Yeah.
I wish I had something really cool to say about that.
I personally apologize for the situation. I never received an apology back, by the way. But I apologize for my role in the situation, and specifically for doing things like the tournament. Our biggest flaw was that we talked too much about his personal problems. In that, because the thing is, we just genuinely could not believe, and people can see it in the videos, that anyone would side with this perspective on life. Let's just put it that way. And so that's why we talked about it. But it was probably inappropriate to do so, but not unlike what we had done for years. With exposing people's behaviors and mentality. And
it was part of the zeitgeist, right, Andrew?
Exactly. But I still apologize because, I thought, well, there's no point us being enemies. He never, let's just flat out say he never got over this, ever. Ever got over it. Even though, he had done plenty of things himself. So, it's one of those things where, we're not using this whole podcast to shit on someone, but it's hilarious that, once again, I had to apologize for my role in something, never received an apology back, and then you and Ratchet Angus go off and do this whole death saga thing, and it's kind of funny to think where you guys are at as a relationship now, but you guys orchestrated this.
Well, I mean, as you say,
thing.
Our relationship with Ratchet 5 is non-existent today after certain things that transpired. However, I would like to say though that I think 2015 we met up and it was a great time in Sydney. And I think I don't know. I felt like for a brief moment my friend was back, because I definitely felt like the Ratchet 5 that I knew, the Ratchet 5 that I befriended back in 2010, who we really bonded, and I felt like we were really similar people, and we had similar opinions and similar interests, and I don't know, I really liked him, and he seemed like such a stable, mature guy, and I thought I really admired the way he ran the tournaments, and I admired the way he handled with drama. I thought if you look at the history of the tournaments, he apart from I'm A Speedrunner 8, relatively dramaless guy. He was, I would say, one of the most like head screwed on people that I had ever met. Like he seemed, I thought this guy had it all. I thought he had figured it out. He was popular on YouTube. He was respected. He was liked. And then just, it felt like it was overnight. He truly changed and he morphed into a different guy. And I just, I lost my friend, I truly felt like I had lost my friend at a certain point. And it was sad. Like, honestly, it was actually quite a sad thing to go through.
So this Death Saga is kind of like a return to that, isn't it? Like this kind of like, we're having a bit of fun on the internet.
The Death Saga is lamented amongst many for being in bad taste. And I would say that from the outside, it was in bad taste. And I think that's definitely true. However, people cope with things in different ways. And I thought that at the time, we were joking about it, we were collaborating on it, all this stuff. Every video on that channel was a collaboration between me and him, and it wasn't just me trying to be mean-spirited towards him, and it wasn't just me making fun of him, and it wasn't that. He needed the Death Saga. I know that sounds weird. He needed the Death Saga. He was in a dark place at that time. I was called, like, there was an emergency call made to me where I had to inform his parents about something awful that had happened in regards to him, and I dreaded making that phone call. I had to talk to them about some serious topics relating to their son that they probably hadn't confronted or dealt with, and it was a really tough time for that family, and but it's put a strain on our relationship too after sort of not really being that close over the past few years prior to that. And so, yeah, really the Death Saga, I think I have a completely different view on it to how a lot of other people do, and I think the only two people who can really totally understand it would be me and him. And the intention was that it would rejuvenate his channel to the point where he could come back and do speedruns again and hopefully return to that guy that I met in 2010. But obviously that didn't go that way, and we're left with the Death Saga, and you can interpret it how you want. And we're left with the Invitational Tournament, much to, you guys' whatever you may think about the Invitational Tournament. I personally really enjoyed it.
That's good.
I thought, yeah. I don't know.
It's good. I just like chiding you a bit over it, that's all. With respects to like the championship victory, because it's, I don't know, it's just a part of the lore, you know. Right. It's a bit of kayfabe, but yeah, good stuff. Oh, just a brief aside. This is also during the time period. Connor can back me up if I'm wrong. Connor, myself, we met Zatesgate in real life. Actually, I think in December 2015. Would that be correct, Connor?
Yes.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that was a great meetup, wasn't it? Actually, that was awesome. Yeah, so that was cool. So we met Zatesgate, which kind of, to be fair, was really born. I think it was born out of the IAS Invitational. You could say, like, I think I got chatting to him during that period, and that's when so fair play, Angus, for making this, because that might not have happened if you hadn't done that. So
yeah, totally.
Didn't you go over? Didn't you with them as well to England?
No, we didn't. No,
I went over. I went over to see Ratchet when he was in Birmingham. I met Luke and Christian as well.
Yeah,
that's right. Because then didn't you and Ratchet came back and met up with you?
Yeah, I came back to Ratchet came over to Ireland, and then we stayed at my place. And then he came up to you.
And then you both stayed, and then I've got the pictures of you sleeping with me, like smiling. So
oh man, we'll have to do a whole video on like meetups and stuff like that. Season 2, season 3. We've discussed this, Crystal Fisher and I. The history of the I'm A Speedrunner podcast series will be very much a mainstay going forward on the ISGP channel. We have so many things to talk about, so many other topics, and I guess with I'm A Speedrunner Invitational Tournament, this kind of brings us to the end of the IAS franchise. Like, it ends here. We will be back next week with like a real deep dive ranking of the series. I'm curious to see how that ends up. But yeah, I guess like overall, let's just final thoughts on the franchise as a whole, what it meant to you, how you sort of, how it impacted your life. Let's start with Lyle. Let's go to Lyle. I'm a speedrunner. Tell us about it.
So, obviously, I joined in 7, I believe. So obviously I joined quite late on, near the end, near the last mile, you would say, for it. But for me, it has its ups and it has its downs. But like it brought me closer to the other side of the community, as I was brought in from one side that was against. So whenever I joined, it was kind of like it it was like a divide within a divide sort of thing. But it got me to speak to other people that I never did. But obviously, I still was quite of a troll back then, so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed 8 would have been my favorite one, I would have said. But like overall, it brought people together. It has its ups, it has its downs. Some people might like certain tournaments that I would have loved, and some people would have loved the ones that other people hated. So together was good. It was a good series. It was great while it lasted. It's probably the best way.
Totally. Connor, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm a speedrunner. Yeah, it had its ups as its downs, but I thought it was an excellent thing. I'm delighted that I got to join and be part of so many different tournaments, and it wasn't just speedrunning; it was just meeting so many different people from like all over the world that I don't know, would I have met them if I hadn't have done it? Who knows? Like it was fantastic and led to so many meetup opportunities. We got to speedrun games that we thought we would never play again. Like Lyle says, well, there might be some tournaments that you might like more or not like as much, but like I had a fun time in all tournaments. Like there were plenty of downs, but like I know I talked about IS7 in the last call there, but I thoroughly enjoyed that tournament. Yeah, I thoroughly did. It was a fantastic tournament at the time. All of them were excellent in their own way, and I'm really glad I did it, and I highly recommend anyone to join future speedrunning tournaments and watch everything that happens as well.
Al Malloy.
Yo, sorry, I just changed clothes quickly.
The master of the quick change.
Yes, yeah, because I'm about to go and get coffee. But yeah, IAS, it's gonna be so hard to summarize, but I'll do my best. Probably you can really say the single most important thing to happen to me in life, because I met all ye, and we've become obviously such close friends over the years on that basis. And despite obviously the rocky beginning for me and the turmoil it caused for me when I was a young teen, as we progressed through it, I met so many interesting, cool people, which I just don't think would have happened if I hadn't been in these tournaments. So yeah, absolute blast. Despite how things ended, it's kind of appropriate in a way that it kind of imploded with the last two tournaments. And yeah, good shit. Great stuff and great podcast. It was so much fun to relive here.
Well, it's not over yet. We've got one more episode.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No,
excited for that.
It's been so much fun so far.
Yes, Crystal Fisher. Crystal Fisher, the floor is yours.
Should I do another big dramatic pause? No. Okay, anyway, so I really did think that, yeah, much like Al, definitely one of the most, I would say that the tournaments themselves, at least for me personally, was not as much of this bringing together moment as much as everything in between the tournaments, because it was the thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours of calls in the middle of the night that had nothing to do with speedrunning that made me sort of fall in love with the internet and the online community. It was talking to Bandy at 3 a.m. about flying to Israel one day. It was talking to Lyle about, life and coming over to Ireland for the first time to see everyone and, have a great time. The tournaments themselves were the vehicle that got us to where we wanted to be, but I credit IAS as helping with that. But I think that as a community, I'm just going to use this time to put over ISGP and say that ISGP is a better community than IAS could have ever dreamed of being. Because while there are many funny memories of those old days, and there are plenty, and I've got plenty, and I was someone that was not really bullied. So for me, nor do I think I was a bully. So I never really had any overly negative times, but I do think that ISGP has allowed more people to be themselves in a more real way, whereas IAS was more of a predecessor to that, and there was still a lot of ridiculous bullshit going on that made other people's experiences so much worse than other people's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a hierarchy. Basically, it was a hierarchy.
Yeah, and I benefited from being the middle to up. So for me, it's like, yeah, I had a good time and everything like that, but I'm looking at it through other people's perspectives and going, it's not as good for them. And there's a reason. There is a massive reason why so many of these people will not even talk to us to this day, even if we didn't do anything. I personally didn't do anything. There is going to be people that will never want to see me or talk to me again. And that's why everyone's had these great memories, and I'm not crapping on that because I had so many great memories too. But I'm trying to look at it at a bit of an outsider here and kind of point out that it was not this flawless thing that I think some people, think it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'll go last. To me, I'm in the owl camp where I think the single most important thing that ever happened, the single most important decision I ever made was adding Crystal Fissure, adding Ratchet 5 on Skype, talking to them, joining I'm A Speedrunner 3, going through all those tournaments. It was a true, I guess, like, if you want to talk about butterfly effects that impacted my life, I think if it wasn't for I'm A Speedrunner, I would never have gone to Europe, met up with all you guys. I would never have gone to Japan with Crystal Fissure. I would never have fallen in love with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would never have really possibly gotten into AEW. I would never have moved down to Adelaide. I would never have met my current partner and moved in and lived here. I would probably not be living the life that I live now, which I would not trade for anything in the world. Truly, I can't say it's all because of I'm A Speedrunner, but I can definitely say that the impetus of it was I'm A Speedrunner. It truly was. And at a time when I was like in high school and I didn't have that many friends, I felt a true connection with the people in I'm A Speedrunner. I felt a true belonging to the community of I'm A Speedrunner. And you know what? Yes, Crystal Fissure, you're right. There was moments of bullying. That, people who won't talk to us to this day. There was controversy. There was all that stuff. Looking back on it, would not change a single second of it. I think everything had to happen for, I don't want to be cliche, but everything happened for a reason. It all sort of taught me a lot of things about myself, about how to act, about how to conduct myself.
Hacking Saga's channel?
What's that?
Would you change that? Would you change hacking Saga's channel?
I would not change it, I don't think. I think it was a formative learning moment for me because I have the hindsight now to look back on it and say that was a really shitty thing to do. And I think
she got the opportunity.
We were talking about this earlier today, Crystal Fissure and myself, talking about the similarities between ISGP and some of those old concepts we came up with, some of the stuff in I'm A Speedrunner 8 with the storylines, the IAS Championship Scramble with the events. I truly believe that, we were talking about if we were to host another tournament after I'm A Speedrunner 8, if we did call it something like ISGP, whatever, it would have been a waste of time, it would not have worked, and I think ISGP had to have happened in 2018. That was the perfect time for it to happen. The I'm A Speedrunner series had to die for good for ISGP to exist. And that was what we ultimately learned, was that IAS was a hell of a ride while it lasted, but it had to end, and I think it ended on a good note. I think it did, even with I'm A Speedrunner 10 and I'm A Speedrunner 9 being the disasters they were. Yeah. So that's where I stand.
All good things will come to an end.
All good things come to an end. Now, Al Malloy is off camera, so I guess he won't be here when I say farewell. But honestly, next part, we're going to be ranking the tournaments. We have had a committee vote. The votes are currently being tabulated. We will reveal to you the official ranking of the tournaments. I'm excited for this. Will it be I'm A Speedrunner 8, Lyle's favorite? Will it be I'm A Speedrunner 7, Mr. Game Cindy, Connor David's favorite? Will it be I'm A Speedrunner 3, a good one too? Will it be I'm A Speedrunner whatever, 6, 5, whatever? We're going to rank them, and I'm excited to do this, and we're going to do it live on the ISGP channel, so stay tuned for an announcement about that. I'm excited. We're going to do it live stream. You will be here to watch as the votes are counted, and we will reveal the ranking. So I'm excited. Get excited for that. So for Al Malloy, for Lyle David, for Connor David, for Lyle David. Sorry, let's try that again. For Al Malloy, for Lyle Bandicoot 93, for Connor David, for Crystal Fissure, for myself, Nintendo Gen 64. Farewell for now, but not forever, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Fantastic. Well done.